Howdy everybody, and welcome to my teeny tiny channel. Welcome new friends and new subscribers that have found me through my cosplay reels here on YouTube, or folks that were reminded that I have a YouTube channel over on my Facebook cosplay fan page, or if you're just a homie and we met at Denver Comic Con last weekend. Hi and welcome. So we're gonna do something a little different today, even though cosplay is my main piece. Over the pandemic, like many of you guys, I got into Dungeons and Dragons, specifically Critical Role, which is funny because a lot of my cosplay friends were cosplaying these colorful characters that I thought were super cool from the show Critical Role back in Campaign 2. And I am a hoe for characters that require body paint, and I said, say no more. And that was just my 2020, just catching up on Campaign 2. And now we're here. D&D is a huge part of my brand. I have clocked in more hours as a dungeon master than I have as a player, which does not give me any authority to give any good advice or helpful tips for these stories that we're going to read today, but we're going to try it anyway. All right, let me pull up the screenshots on my telephone. I want to make sure I screenshotted them just in case they get deleted because all these stories are from Reddit. The first story I pulled up here is from r/Dungeons and Dragons underneath the tag advice/help needed. And it is titled Never Feel Included. Players instantly judge my characters. So I've been playing D&D with my friends for about 2 or so years now. And for the last few campaigns, they have all found ways to pair and I always get left out. For example, 2 characters had a secret between each other. My character overheard them talking and the DM asked if she would say anything. She merely said that unless the secret was a direct threat to the group, she wouldn't say anything. She was instantly met by excessively harsh words, which were later on, even the DM said he thought was harsh, as well as the guy who is part of the secret, but nothing was said at the time. That was a mouthful. I kind of wish I would have gone back and edited it so it would become more comprehensive, but this is what they wrote. That sort of thing happens all the time. Not usually nasty words thrown my way, but it's just a genuine way of shoving me out of conversations. My group seems to judge my characters before I even get a chance to introduce them. For one campaign, I made a centaur, and again, before I say a word, they start, in character, making stupid horse jokes. Week before last, I had an off night and played my character wrong. The DM told me off, said I needed to be my character, and that's that. He added I shouldn't be peer pressured into acting differently, so fine. So last week, I decided to do something my character would do, and again, got moaned at by the DM. I mean, I get improvised weapons aren't great, but it's something that my character would have done, and now he's telling me not to play like my character. Anyway, a new campaign is opening, and already 2 of the lads have decided they know each other before the game starts. I know the other 2 will auto-team, and it'll leave me behind again. I tried to tell the group how I've been feeling, and they just said, well, you need to try harder to get to know other characters. Force an interaction. So I did, and once again, nothing I have done seems to work. I'm still left out. I love D&D, and it's honestly wearing on me and making me feel bad. Someone suggested it's because I'm the only girl in the group, but I don't think that's why. That being said, the lads do say a lot of misogynistic things as a joke. Even my partner who runs the group has found a way to pair between we even start the new campaign. I told him how I feel, but I don't think he cares all that much. I don't expect him to be my character's bestie, but it just frustrates me that they all do this. Any thoughts that don't involve quitting my group? Edit to add, I did forget to mention this. My DM and a friend who also DMs decided to make a special homebrew class for all my characters, which has helped the character be a badass. It's the misogynistic jokes for me, the fact that even just flies. And because you're even like mentioning it, it doesn't sound like it's a consensual kind of jokey vibe, if that makes sense. It sounds like a boys' club with the misogynistic jokes that you find uncomfortable, and even your partner not willing to help you out, because it sounds like there's multiple like you have multiple characters, like maybe like one shots or just really short campaigns or something, and your partner not even like willing to have a background or, you know, some history with your character. I think I compare it to like Critical Role Campaign 2, just because I've like watched every episode of Talks Machina and whatever. It's like the freshest in my mind. With Laura and Travis, their characters were separate. They didn't know each other up until, from what I can remember, like a couple days or weeks before session 1. Like their characters didn't like only knew each other maybe for a week prior, along with Bo. And even just that kind of like, you know, baseline of a friendship, like, oh, we just met each other, and, you know, we kind of have like a little bit of like that loyalty because those characters had some background history, but like literally was nothing to my knowledge like came up in their role playing that was pre-campaign. And the idea that your like partner hasn't even like done that with you, like, of course it doesn't have to be your bestie or, you know, be a Laudna and Imogen situation where like they were besties for years and they have this incredible bond. It just feels like a boys club. It feels like you can have your partner, your boyfriend most of the time, but as soon as he's with the boys, he like ditches you. And girl, that just sounds like super, super immature. This whole situation just reeks of low emotional intelligence, especially because your DM is micromanaging you and like telling you how to play your character. I have been a DM for players who I love dearly, but as soon as they play that character, it's wackadoodle time. Like chaos is raining from the sky, and it's frustrating for the DM, but it's what their character would do. And it's kind of like, it's up to the DM if they want to tug on the reins a little bit, rein the character in. I'm just making assumptions. I feel like I'm just talking out of my ass. Your feelings are valid. I just feel like it's not a good fit. And if you can, it's just trying to join an all-girl group or an LGBT inclusive group. I mean, all these guys could also be like part of the alphabet mafia. I'm just making an assumption that they're not. Oh, and shoving you out of conversations. Okay, so I'm just like glancing over this again. They feel, what pronouns? I assume that she uses she, her pronouns because they did mention that because I'm the only girl in the group. But because she says that she feels like she's pushed out of conversations, it's not a good fit. It sucks, especially because like it sounds like you play with your partner a lot too, and they're not one to stand up for you. I mean, it just takes one person to go, wait, you were saying something. I've had that experience once before where I was like in a group of people talking and I was going to say something and I just got talked over. And I guess I have like kind of a quieter voice. And one of the guys at the table like was making eye contact with me and he goes, hold up. Like after everyone was done talking, he goes, hold up, what were you going to say? And I felt so seen. And just that one little interaction made me remember them forever. But also, it just took somebody with a penis to say, talk, Valentina. Let's see what the top comment has to say. I was going to say quote tweeted. They say, any thoughts that don't involve quitting my group? Nope, it sounds like you've tried to resolve these issues by asking the DM for advice, repeatedly trying to have honest conversations with the players, and trying different strategies in game for 2 whole years. It sounds like you just don't gel with this group. Also, if your partner doesn't care about your feelings and he's cool with his friends making misogynistic comments to you, it's not a great sign. Bravo. Okay, and then OP replies to the top comment. They reply, he just isn't confrontational, which sends me into a blinding rage because I love being confrontational. Oh my God, it's my favorite thing to do. If you ask me what my favorite things are, I would say cosplaying, talking about D&D, and being confrontational. No one likes being confrontational. You need to give your balls a tug and have some emotional intelligence. Sit down, use your words. Gives me the hugest ick. I think a couple of my eggs just shriveled up and fell out of my body. Biggest ick is when a man says, I just hate confrontation. He just isn't confrontational. I asked him to speak up for me last week, but they didn't say anything last week, so he had no need to. Okay, so it sounds like there wasn't a problem last week. He is also hard of hearing, so he doesn't catch a lot of what is said. These guys can also be harsh to him as well. Last week, he tried asking 3 times if Shield would activate if in the turn he ran past 2 bad guys in effort to rescue another player. The DM kept interrupting him and wouldn't let him finish the sentence. Another player interrupted him to explain, though didn't get it close. My partner is also very soft-spoken, so people don't always hear him, either when he does trying to say anything. Edit to add, the group is how my partner and I met. The group of friends they're friends with both of us. Okay, so I gave you that look after she says that my partner's hard of hearing. I totally get that. I am too. I'm actually looking to make ribbons for myself and to have at conventions, like ribbons for badges that say I'm hard of hearing, just so I can have it on my person. Because at Denver Comic Con, there are so many times where I just had to lean into people. I couldn't, I would be like looking off into space and leaning in so I could hear them better. And in Colorado and Denver too, I went to the Stanley Hotel. I'm just like bragging about my trip. I'm sorry, but I can relate. At the Stanley Hotel, I also went on a tour and I had to stay close to the tour guide, and I always moved my body so I could hear her better, because I use captions on the TV. I don't watch anything without closed captioning. I'm very hard of hearing. But I've also noticed in my old age, as a bitter spinster of 27 years old, that men are not as alert as women are in daily life. Just from some examples, like I was having a rummage sale and this guy came up to me and was like, "Hey, is there a rummage sale around here?" And I literally had a sign that said sale, and I'm like sitting here with all my stuff around me having a rummage sale, and I'm like, "Sir, you're 14 inches from a sign that says sale." And then also, like, being on Twitch too, I've had instances where I'm like, "Hey, I'm having a quiet hour," and then men are still like blowing up my chat, like, "Why aren't you talking?" It literally says across my screen, "No talk, 10 minutes." I don't know. Also, I feel like it's weaponizing competence. It's like, if you're aware that jokes, whatever, are being made and are making your girlfriend feel uncomfortable, don't you think you would turn your radar on a little bit more and be more actively trying to catch them? I'm putting a lot of pressure on this guy. But granted, they are your friend group. They can still be your friend group. They just might not be good players. I have friends I love dearly, but I won't play D&D with them because they get at that table and then they become chaos gremlins, or they actively try to do anything but do what the DM is like planning for us to do. Like, we only have a couple hours to do this one shot. So yeah, my advice would be to check out your local game shop, see if there's an all-girl group or an LGBT trans inclusive group specifically. Usually they are safe places for cis women, if that is what you identify as. And I get it, small towns exist in the United States where it takes you 20 miles to drive to the nearest board game store, and sometimes they don't have more than like 1 or 2 groups. Sometimes they're like pay to play. You can get on Reddit, go to r/LFG, and either make a post that says, "I am a player looking to jump into an all-girl group," or look for ads. Not ads, they don't advertise. Well, they are advertising, but it's free, and it says like, "Hey, all-girl group looking for 2 more players," and just message the person, get their Discord, apply on their Google Forms, and just try to find like a better group, because you will realize how emotional, intelligent your former group is. I feel like that's good. That's good soup. This next one is also from r/Dungeons and Dragons under advice/help needed. It is titled How to Deal with Glaringly Overpowered Characters. I saw that word glaringly and I just had like a little mini heart attack. And it was posted 11 days ago. It says, "Hey y'all, I've been the DM for the same group for roughly 20 years now, and one of my players typically only plays paladins. We have a rule saying you can't play the same class if your character dies, etc. This only became an issue recently, where he would be able to nearly single-handedly take down all the encounters I throw at them. The rest of the party doesn't have a whole lot of offense spells, and even when they do use them, they still get outpaced by him and just make the combats a slugfest of hacking through hit points. Any suggestions on what I should do?" So they do have a paladin that seems to be like the damage doer, and the paladin just seems to be slicing through all of the encounters that the DM throws at them. For encounters, what I was told as a new DM is to always have backups in case your characters, your players, wipe out your encounter with some good rolls, or you just, they're maybe overpowered. You thought it was powerful enough. That's when you have either backup minions or creatures that like maybe an encounter will lay, or traps that the characters have to look out for or can spring. It doesn't have to be super elaborate. If you are like me, you're gonna have like 4 different kinds of backups just in case they just slice through everything and you still want to make sure your friends are having a good time. If you're playing on like Roll20, you as the DM can go into this player sheet and see what they have, see what kind of spells they have, and if you really want to get into it, do some homework, items, armor, whatever this player has, and create an encounter that ultimately handicaps him. I know that sounds like really malicious, but this would also give your other players a chance to do some damage and make the paladin decide, in the moment, like what's he going to do? Is it going to be backup support? Is he going to have to take a back seat, or is he going to have to make decisions, drop items, dispose of items, whatever, so that he could like get in the game? I feel like that would be a little bit hard, but I love D&D homework. I think that would be really fun too, just like a little fun twist, a fun little trick to pull on this player. Again, some players get butthurt when you nerf something of theirs, even though if it makes sense in the story, it makes sense for the encounter, you want to challenge them. Sometimes they'll just be like, "You're just nerfing my stuff." Go cry into your oatmeal, my dude, because you're not the main character. This is a fantasy tabletop role-playing game. If they're gonna get pissy for nerfing any of their stuff or nerfing their character when you just expected them to problem solve, they need to go write a fantasy novel. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so number 1, definitely have like just more encounters. Always plan for backup. My advice for dealing with overpowered characters is, I don't know if I should really go on this rant. Let them be overpowered and just see how much fun they have tearing through every encounter, watching everybody else at the table not getting a chance to use their magic or use their spells. Because if they have empathy, and you should really have empathy as a player, as a team player especially, they're gonna eventually realize, wow, my character's overpowered. There has to be, I'm gonna work with the DM to take away something that makes my character overpowered, or give me like a hindrance, a handicap that goes along with my story, that fits my characters, so I'm not so overpowered. And like giving your player the enough like respect to like let them figure it out. The hard part's going to be balancing the other players and just hoping that they're going to be patient and hope for the best. And then also have them realize like they're being an asshole, no one else is having fun. That's the risk you gotta take. So yeah, those are 3 decent solutions. And it just comes down to this paladin that is okay being overpowered. And my fear is that if you do take away like something of his, put a handicap on him just for an encounter, that they'll be crying nerfed. Let's close with a silly story I found on Reddit last minute. Of course, it's in r/Dungeons and Dragons, titled "How Odd Is This Idea?" ... My character is married to their familiar. Now, before I'm called a furry, let me explain. My character's husband, Gregory, was an adventurer who died. His wife, Delilah, decided to seek powers from beyond the material plane to continue living together. She had to seek out a school/cult in order to learn the spirit magic. Eventually, she is able to summon her late husband's spirit in a physical form. In light of this, my DM allowed for Delilah to take the Lorehold student background, and I could take Strixhaven mascot when I obtained my first ASI. I don't know what that means. In another game, my pan-dimensional watcher paladin Asmar had a wife in the form of a reflavored Quandrix familiar, using minor illusion to allow her to speak. In a future game, I'm thinking of having a father-son dynamic as a chain warlock tiefling with an imp familiar. So now I ask, how weird is it for your character's significant other to be your familiar or something similar? The first time, it was cool having like the spirit of your character's dead husband, like in your familiar. Okay, cool. You can make him talk. Second time, you're like, all right, let's remix it up. But it's weird it happened a third time. It's weird that, is it weird? One character with this, very cool, very original. Two characters with this, I'm like, okay, maybe wanted to change it up a little bit. You have three characters that you are either playing or wanting to play who is in some way related to their familiar. Okay. I would have 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened 3 times, right? There's something there, something underlying that you feel the need to play out in these games. Individually, these ideas, scenarios, whatever, I think it's cool. I think it's weird that you have all 3 characters wanting to do this. And I believe that D&D is a great tool for therapy. So as long as your other players at the table are cool with your familiars being your dad, your long-lost brother, your significant others, as long as they're okay with it and you're not getting bored with it, it's a harmless way to live your best life. Is it this eyelash that's just making my eye look crazy? Because every time I look into the monitor, it's kind of drooping. I know everyone like has a lazy eye, but this is just really bothering me. Otherwise, I have been talking for quite some time. Remember to like and subscribe. Let me know your opinions down below, and go ahead and give me a follow on the socials if you want to be like the first to see original D&D flavored, Critical Role flavored skits and jokes and whatever. Go check me out on TikTok while it's still around at the Sloth Goth. Otherwise, I'm gonna go get ready to audition for the local community theater, and I hope to see you real soon.